What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of LaLiga Insiders. Quite the weekend you two had. Gemma Soler and Rodrigo Faiz, El Clásico at the Camp Nou. Let's check out our menu of the day because we are still in that Clásico hangover. One coming up very soon, though, still in the Copa del Rey. Of course, all of the information with our insiders and a little bit of extra time just to keep things going. Why not? Because the Clásico just happened, but it seems like we already miss it. Barcelona separates themselves from second place Real Madrid, 12 points. Gemma, I'm going to start with you because, of course, Barcelona, with those 3 points in pocket, how are they feeling after this very important match?
Hola, Cristina. Yes, we are exhausted and we didn't play, but it was such a demanding Clásico with a thrilling ending, and it was such an intense game. And Barcelona are feeling great. Actually, they didn't have a day off after so much effort. They did a soft training just to recover and see how the feelings are. And the thing is that you can feel that they are well aware that there's almost no chance that they will lose this La Liga if they keep being consistent, solid in the back, and being serious. They have this title they were waiting for so much. It was a lot of self-esteem for them because it was for El Clásicos at the Camp Nou without being able to win Real Madrid for the way they beat them at the very end. It was such an exciting win. And not only this, we always talk, we're well aware of the money issues Barcelona has. Well, it was an absolute record of ticketing of spectators. It was 95,745 people, record of this season. According to our colleagues in Raku, they say they made about 8 million euros with the ticketing, the t-shirts, because it was such an amazing weekend with the Motomami t-shirts and a lot of things. So sport-wise, money-wise, and self-esteem-wise, in a really complicated moment for Barcelona with all the rumors and all the stuff, it was such a great night for the players and for the fan base as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick side note on that Motomami jersey. I love the message, Rodrigo, that you put on social media because there was so much outrage about the fact that it was 400 euros. Your message was, if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like Rosalía, okay? I don't like neither Motomami's song or the album, but the thing is that I don't really understand these kind of, slag of people trying to hate, trying to troll Barcelona or Rosalía. If you don't like that, don't buy it. I mean, no one obligates you to buy that. I mean, I don't have 400 euros to buy a Barca t-shirt, so I'm not gonna say it. I mean, I don't really know, what's the point for that?
Just one thing about this, Rodri, be careful about what you say, because if you check the stories of Rosalía and his partner, Raúl Alejandro, Rosalía was listening to us, the South American commentating. So I'm in the stories of Rosalía, sorry about that. And our beloved Ian Darkey of ESPN in English was in Raúl Alejandro's story. So be careful on what you say because you might have a comment that you really don't like.
No, I'm going to say one thing that, maybe I shouldn't say this, but after that Instagram Reels on my personal account that you mentioned, Chris, one of Rosalía agents texted me. I didn't know he was Rosalia's agent, and he was like, we were going to send you one of these shirts so you could give away in your stories, but no, we're not going to make it now after this.
Send them to me and Cristina.
Yeah, come on. And not because of what Gemma just said, but yeah, I am a fan of Rosalía, and that Motomami sign is really, really cool. Better than Drake's if we're trying to make a competition here. But anyway, we're getting a little bit sidetracked. But maybe you won't buy this shirt, Rodri, but do you buy that Barcelona has the possibility of really winning La Liga after that match yesterday?
No, Barcelona won La Liga last night. I mean, for me, there's no further debate on who could win La Liga this year. I think there's only one contender, and it's called Barcelona. They played much better than Real Madrid. I think that Real Madrid didn't make a really bad game. I think they played quite well, or a little bit better than we expected. But I think that Barcelona, in the overall game, I think they were much better. They attacked in the very early stage of the game better than Real Madrid. They had more shots on target. They were more aggressive in the attacking line. They defended much better than Real Madrid. Maybe in the second part, in the second half, I remember a couple of counterattacks from Real Madrid, but they weren't clear enough to think about or to think better. And that's why now, if you see the table as we are looking at, Barcelona is the leader, far behind. You got Real Madrid. 12 points for me is a high distance and something impossible for Real Madrid to take Barcelona now, this point of the season. First of all, because Barcelona, if Real Madrid wants to be a runner-up again, needs to fail at least in 4 games, which is something that I don't really see possible now. And the second is that Real Madrid need not to fail, and they need to win every single game from now till the end, which is even more difficult for me, because in the whole season, Real Madrid weren't at that level. That is why, for me, Barcelona won the Liga title last night, and for me, I think it's fair for Barcelona, because they were better on defense, they were better on attack in the midfield, not only yesterday, but but in the whole season. So that is why, for me, this is a well-deserved title for Barcelona.
Yeah, and they were so close, right? And I'm talking about Real Madrid with that VAR decision and that offside that we saw at the end of the day with Marco Asensio. You talked about Barcelona's self-esteem, Gemma. How about Real Madrid's, especially in that moment? Was there a mood that shifted at that time?
Oh, that moment was awful for Real Madrid players, because it was so an offside of millimeters that they celebrated as it was an exciting goal at home of the bitter rivals, and they were sure that it will be okay. And then when it's disallowed, I think there's some psychology there, and they don't know how to face that moment. So there is this bad thing that they might be psychologically affected for the next time they will see each other in a couple of weeks, April the 5th, in the second leg of the semifinals of Copa del Rey. But at the same time, when you are in this scenario, you have the chance to say, okay, let's forget about this with a win on that game. So I guess Rodri probably knows better that they might be a little bit affected for that, but it's also tomorrow, probably 48 hours later, they have the chance to say, okay, now we need to focus about that second leg and also the Champions League, because you could see in the body languages of the players, especially Marco Asensio, you could see at him that he was really affected because of that. It was a huge blow for the way he celebrated and everything. It was a big setback that probably led Barcelona to what they were able to do later, that Kessie a goal and get the 3 points.
Yeah, and this seems to be like a really key moment now for Real Madrid. And Gemma was just talking about this, of course, Rodri, with the situation now and how they were affected, Real Madrid. As we say in Spanish, and you guys know, el marcar un antes y un después, a before and after. Is that the situation that you're seeing now with Carlo Ancelotti? And I'm talking about his game plan going forward with La Liga and that focus on the Champions League.
It's the only way for Ancelotti to win a major title this year, not only for Champions League, but also for trying to make the comeback with the semifinals, with the Copa del Rey semifinals against Barcelona back in the Camp Nou in some weeks. I mean, Ancelotti now is in doubt. We already mentioned this year that Real Madrid board members are thinking about the future and are doubting on Ancelotti. First of all, because they understand that Ancelotti doesn't really have a plan B for these kind of games. If we see the starting 11 last night, it was right the same than the one that faced Liverpool, and that is why, at Real Madrid, or at least what my sources just told me this morning, they don't really understand why he keeps with the idea of getting Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. Those are both veterans, and maybe they are not fit enough for facing in the same week a couple of high tension games with this, so tight calendar. That is why Ancelotti has to win something major, and maybe the Copa del Rey maybe is not enough at the end of the season for what Real Madrid expect from their teams every single season. Let's see what happens in the future, but after what happened last night, Ancelotti, I wouldn't say that he's gonna be 100% Real Madrid coach for next season, just because Real Madrid is still they doubt of the Ancelotti job during all the season, and they don't really understand why, for example, Dani Ceballos wasn't before on the pitch against Barcelona, and why, for example, they are. And when I say they, I refer to Vinicius and Benzema. They are not the same players that they used to be last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Karim Benzema, 35 years old. He's had 8 injuries now this season, more than he's had in the last 3 combined, which was 7 in total. So it's been really rough on them. Vini, we know what's happened, of course, on the pitch, and especially off it. And we've commented a lot now, and it's just really sad to see this dynamic duo that really was that dynamic duo just really struggle in the most important games, of course, of the season. Sticking to what Rodri said now, Gemma, do you think it's a fair treatment around Carlo Ancelotti? We know that the pressure is always really, really high, and the expectations are always really high. But is it fair to now kind of put his future in balance with Madrid?
When you are the coach of a top team like Real Madrid, such a demanding one, Ancelotti himself, it's not his first time in Real Madrid also. He's very well aware that if he doesn't bring success, he's out of the job. And football is like this, it's not fair. Of course, I don't think we can criticize Carlo Ancelotti, understanding that he is the only one that has been able to win all the top leagues, football leagues in the world. So what can we say? I mean, no one knows better than him probably. But of course, if you are a Real Madrid fan, a player, a president, you have to ask for more. And the only thing I would say that Carlo Ancelotti has a lack of solutions when facing Barcelona. We have seen this in the 3 previous matches, and the thing is that it doesn't look like he can find a solution. And I'm, for example, talking about the Copa del Rey game, where he was absolutely uncritical after that defeat, saying we did everything right, we have to do exactly the same, and we will win next game. Well, you tried to do almost exactly the same, and it didn't work because this team needs solutions. They have a lack of efficiency in the final third. They have a lack of solutions to try, for example, to facing Araujo, and there's no way that. And I think some of the solutions need to come from the bench, and he's not being able to do that. And I say that with all the respect that a key figure like Carlo Ancelotti, and I think there's no better coach for Real Madrid right now than Carlo Ancelotti. But he should be, I'm sure he's working in trying to find solutions, but he's not able to provide that to his players.
Yeah, we don't doubt the intelligence that we've seen for so many years with Carlo Ancelotti, especially when Real Madrid is involved. But yeah, it's a very, very tough situation. You'll have to find solutions. But of course, that maybe has to start from up top with Florentino Perez, which takes us to our insider information. Rodri, I'm going to start with you because speaking of the future, speaking of Florentino Perez and of course of Real Madrid, they're making plans, moves for Jude Bellingham, but if that doesn't work out, what do they have?
Well, we gotta say that Jude Bellingham is Real Madrid's priority for the next window transfer. We know that all Real Madrid efforts are put in that side of the table. They are still on that war, on that race, because they are really well placed. The thing is that in the last maybe 2-3 weeks, I think Liverpool has lost maybe one of the best positions to get Bellingham, and instead of Liverpool, Man City has overcome in the past 15 days as one of the main favorites to face Real Madrid in that Jude Bellingham's race. Let's see what happens at the end of this season, because the final word will be up to Jude Bellingham. The thing is that Real Madrid, just in case Bellingham says no to Real Madrid, are planning and they have like a plan B for some choices just in case they don't get the English midfielder from Borussia Dortmund. And those names now Real Madrid are monitoring are, first of all, one of the best La Liga break record, in terms of Johnston, and he's one of the best players in this season. He plays for Celta de Vigo. He's only 20 years old, and his name is Gabri Veiga. We reported last week that Gabri Veiga is being monitored also by top Premier League clubs like, for example, Liverpool or even Man United, and Real Madrid are aware of his situation, and they know that if finally they knock on his door, he's gonna be really open to join Real Madrid. First of all, because he's really young. Secondly, because maybe he prefers to stay in La Liga rather than going abroad to England. And thirdly, because he is maybe the cheapest option for Real Madrid, because his release clause from Celta de Vigo is only 40 million euros. And the second name that we got even this morning from our closest sources from Real Madrid and Man City is Bernardo Silva. Real Madrid are monitoring Bernardo Silva's situation because if finally they lost that Jude Bellingham's race, and if Man City wins that race, Man City will be open to let some midfielders leave Man City in order to get Jude Bellingham more comfortable inside Pep Guardiola's team. So that is why Bernardo Silva, that he always has said that he wanted to play for La Liga at some point of his career, could be a great choice for Real Madrid, and that is why Real Madrid are really interesting, just in case Jude Bellingham fails for Real Madrid, to get the international Portuguese player to be in La Liga playing for Real Madrid. Let's see what happens at the end of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. A smart plan, of course, not only putting all of their eggs in one basket when we talk about Jude Bellingham, but also these two talented backup players, of course. Rodri, Gemma, I'm going to go with you. We're going to take it back to El Clasico because it had quite a spicy ending.
Oh yeah, first the fun part is that it was so confusing, so thrilling in the end that some players thought that the game was already over. Alejandro Balde fall in the grass and Christensen need to take him out. Like it's not over yet. Because there was a confusion when the referee gave a fault and they thought it was the end. So Alejandro Balde thought it was already over and he was like laying the grass. Gavi ran. You can check the ESPN FC social media. There are really fun videos talking about that crazy ending. Gavi ran he was a substitute, into the midfield to try to celebrate, and they needed to take him out of the stadium. That was the fun part. And the spicy part, and I will call this the unfinished business, is that there was a spicy encounters with some of the players, especially one with Dani Carvajal and the third goalkeeper of Barcelona, Arnau Tenas. I'm sure there was some verbal kind of encountering before, and Arnau Tenas went running to Carvajal, and Araujo had to act as a fireman there, putting some water because the thing was getting quite too much spicy. And also the delegate of Barcelona, Carlos Naval, needed to put peace because it was, of course, Real Madrid players were so upset and Barcelona players were so happy, wanted to celebrate, and some of them were really not very happy. So I call it unfinished business because they will be seeing each other in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure some of the Real Madrid players will be remembering that scenes, that spicy encounters, and they will try to do it in the other way so they can have some revenge. Also, there will be unfinished business, I think, with Xavi and Ancelotti. They are really polite coaches. They don't get in messes or quarrels one each other. But it's true that Xavi was kind of upset with the fact that Carlo Ancelotti used the VAR decision, putting the Barcelona win in doubt. And Xavi thought he was kind of upset because he thought that he was taking advantage of the momentum of Barcelona, Negreira case, referees, and he felt that this was kind of unfair. And we'll see if he forgets about this in a couple of weeks, or they go back to the verbal accusations in the press conference room. We will see the third actually episode in April the 5th.
Yeah, it's fine. It's hard to keep track of so many Clásicos. This is a good problem that we have on our hands. But it's so interesting because, it was palpable, right? And I'm talking about palpable, and I'm thousands of kilometers away from where you guys are. But it was very evident that the players felt a very, very tense atmosphere, especially in the last few minutes. So it's no surprise, of course, what you're telling us. And it's so funny that they wanted to already celebrate the win. It's understandable. But back to something that Gemma just mentioned, Rodri, and that takes me to your next topic, of course. With the VAR decision, of course, and it would have been such an important moment for Real Madrid, for Marco Asensio and company. But what does the locker room in general say about the situation?
Well, there is a strange situation now surrounding Real Madrid after last night loss with a lot of media hype blaming VAR of that Liga that Almost Barcelona won. The thing is that, I talked to my sources at the Real Madrid locker room, and, the big players, the most important players of that locker room, doesn't really blame VAR of last night lose. I mean, they understand that VAR is not maybe the tool better adapted to what footballers need and for what football fans need. I mean, they understand that it's not really clear, but they don't blame VAR for what happened at the Camp Nou. And that is why they make this self-criticism to say that they lost this La Liga race. Not only for that Clasico, but also for the rest of the season, because they understand that they weren't at the level that Real Madrid expected for them, and maybe because of also some decisions of the members board saying that, for example, we don't have like a specific left wing with Mendy injured the whole part of the season, or they don't have a replacement for Benzema, or what happened in the right wing with no specific player. Doesn't really matter who played, if it was Asensio or Rodrigo. I repeat again, not only for what happened last night, but for the rest of the season. I think, what they think, better said, is that they are not gonna win this La Liga title because of the whole overall season, and that is why they need to focus a little bit on what is next, which is Copa del Rey semifinals, and focus a little bit more with a stronger team for that quarterfinals in the UEFA Champions League, because they need to win a title to try to change their mind and try to save Ancelotti for the next season, because if they don't win a major title, I think Ancelotti will have some kind of issues to be next season's Real Madrid coach. So let's see what happens at the end of this season. But I mean, they're focused and they want to change people's mind to win something important this season still on time.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're gonna have to apply the no use crying over spilled milk mentality and just look forward to the opportunities that they still have on hand. Speaking of opportunities, and not necessarily in La Liga, who's looking at Franck Kessie now, Gemma?
A lot of teams, and not only because he was the key man of the win of El Clasico, but the truth is that he wasn't playing that much at the beginning of the season. He was even put in the winter market because, as we all know, Barcelona needs to reduce the salary wages. And if they would have had a good offer, they will probably have accepted or negotiated with the team. But the thing is that he has been much more in the showcase, acted more as a main actor, as an important football player in the last few weeks. And he's enjoying of the best momentum since he's a Barcelona player. And he has a lot of market. He already has it in Italy, where they all know him very well for when he was playing for AC Milan, but also in the Premier League, because he's a player with a lot of physicality, but he's also able to play with the ball. Is a clever he showed his the way he adapted that Barcelona system, particular system, shows that he's a player that can adapt to many situations, and that's why the big names, the big top teams of the Premier League are interested in Franck Kessie. We're talking about Chelsea. They think about him for a possible replacement for Kanté. Tottenham Hotspurs, Man United, Liverpool. Big teams are looking at Kessie because they think he could be a great addition for their teams and the Premier League. What does Barcelona think about this? Of course, Xavi doesn't want to get rid of his assets, and he's a very different, useful asset for the midfield. It's true that we all thought he would be in the starting 11 for El Clasico. He was a substitute, but at the end he was the key player that leads them to that win and to be called Il Presidente already. He's a hero already at the Camp Nou. Xavi wants to keep him, but we are well aware of the economical problems. And Barcelona, if there is an offer, let's remember he arrived at Barcelona as a free agent. So all the money, all the millions that they can get helps a lot to balance the book because of the complicated rule that Barcelona needs to do. So we will see. But if there is a big number, a big offer for Barcelona, they don't want to, but they might be forced to sell Kessie next summer.
Yeah, money talks and money could walk, of course, with Franck Kessie and a lot of players there with Barcelona. Rodri, back to you. We're going to steer a little bit clear now of Barcelona and Real Madrid. You know, we know that Madrid had a very tough weekend, but so did Jorge Sampaoli. Tell us why.
Yeah, just because Jorge Sampaoli is not going to be Sevilla coach anymore. He has been fired by Sevilla board members. I mean, it was kind of strange when we remember that he came back to Sevilla in that second stage to become Sevilla coach. It was a personal decision of Sevilla president Jose Castro, and it didn't really work out really well. You know, after that loss this weekend against Getafe, that makes Sevilla being in a very, very struggling situation, trying to avoid the relegation to Segunda División. That is why tomorrow morning, I mean, we are recording this on Monday evening here in Spain, but tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, Jose Luis Mendilibar, former Eibar coach, will be appointed as new Sevilla manager, trying to be focused only in getting that relegation places quite far away from Sevilla, because it's not the target from Sevilla at the beginning of this season. I mean, Mendilibar is he's a very talented coach. He's very old. I mean, he's experienced coach, and that is why he's the ideal guy to try to get Sevilla out of those dangerous positions of the table. Let's see what happens, because it's going to be really tough for him, because it's maybe the most challenging adventure for Mendilibar, but I think it's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on him. And we remember again that tomorrow morning he will be appointed as the new Sevilla manager. Good luck for him, because it's going to be really difficult these couple of months that he will be there.
To say the least, and Sampaoli knows it well. It's been a tough situation, a tough few tournaments here for Sevilla. Let's see if they can shake things up enough and kind of end the season at least with a different face. Gemma, let's take it back to Barcelona. Some tough news for them, but what's the latest on Ronald Araujo?
Yeah, we can say that this is probably the only bad news about El Clasico, is that the player that he came back to the squad after injury and after being banned for one game, he ended up the game injured. We just had the official medical report about his injury. It's a problem in the adductor, and he might be 2 up to 3 weeks out, so he won't be traveling with the Uruguay national team. This was supposed to be happening after being at the World Cup, but unable to play a single minute. So he will stay in Barcelona, and he will keep on working in trying to be fit as soon as possible. We had the chance to talk one-to-one with Ronald Araujo in the media day, and there he explained us that it was really good for him that 2 weeks with no European European games, and the fact that he didn't have to play in San Mamés at that game because he was having some kind of issues, and it was great, and he thought he would be 100% fit for El Clasico. It was a lot of effort. He played the whole game. He celebrated quite wildly with the supporters as well that Kessie goal, and eventually we could see him with eyes in the adductor, actually in the locker room during the celebrations, but the feelings were not good. So let's see, he will probably lose the first game after the FIFA window, that trip to Elche, and his goal might be to be back to face Vinicius, but we have to be very cautious with that because it might be maybe a little bit too early, and he's kind of a talisman for Xavi. If Xavi faces Real Madrid and Araujo is in the field, he wins El Clasico. If Xavi faces Real Madrid and Araujo is not in the field, he's defeated in El Clasico. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we'll see indeed the next few weeks, of course. Very important for Ronald Araujo. That takes us to some extra time. We mentioned what happened, of course, with that Marco Asensio goal. So many Madrid fans, of course, celebrated alongside that great play at the end of the day that was for Asensio, but was by a hair offsides. So the reaction now is that, of course, it was a very tough situation for him, Rodri, and does this make his love for Real Madrid grow?
Yeah, I understand his reaction, pointing at the Real Madrid shield like, okay, I am here just to score the winning goal, after the VAR decisions and all that stuff. But I understand him because, when at the beginning of the season, some media in Spain reported that Asensio wasn't going to renew with Real Madrid, and the Barcelona team was around his future, trying to focus on the fact that Marco Asensio could end up at Barcelona, crossing the road without paying any money. Marco Asensio was really surprised by those rumors, and that is why we reported that he wanted to stay at Real Madrid, and his first option always has been to be a Real Madrid player for the next season. In fact, now he has a renewal offer on the table, and they are in talks with Real Madrid trying to renew his contract. And the thing is that he never wanted to change the sleeve to Barca's. I mean, he wants to stay at Real Madrid because he considers himself a Real Madridista. So that is why he never thought about signing for Barca, and that is why he reacted like that after scoring that goal. It was a dismissed goal after that VAR decision. The thing is that maybe, and I know Marco Asensio for all these years following Real Madrid in my job, he's an extraordinary guy. He's an easygoing guy. He's a really well-placed guy in the locker room because he's really well respected. And the thing is that he might be more aware of what some people around him could tell to the press or to the media, because that is something that maybe Real Madrid fans didn't approve at that moment.
Yeah, and we saw a very upset Marco Asensio. We talked about it a lot in the offseason leading into, of course, what we've seen now for Marco Asensio. Gemma, was kind of unexpected to see him, of course, be in this moment and try to be there for Real Madrid. He was so close to doing it too.
Yeah, well, I guess that he is not enjoying a very comfortable season because he's not playing probably the minutes he would be liking. Also, he can't be a main actor in his team, so he's not going to the national team. And many things happening to him, and I guess he wants to keep the fan base happy. So that way, in that moment of happiness, you just scored a tremendous important goal. So I can understand that he decides to show his Real Madrid love. It's true that he has always been linked to Barcelona, because at the beginning of this story, Barcelona were ahead of Real Madrid trying to sign the Real Mallorca player, but they were not smart enough, and Florentino Perez was way smarter than Barcelona board of members, and still Marco Asensio in that Real Mallorca that they were having economical issues. So he has been always linked to that, and I guess that showing his love for Real Madrid after the rumors that Rodri was mentioning, it was his way of expressing that he really wants to succeed in Real Madrid. And eventually what happened is that he has been in all the memes of the El Clasico, because you can see when there is the 2-1 for Real Madrid with his happy face, and the 2-1 for Barcelona, the eventually correct result, with his absolutely unhappy face. But this is the way football and technology, VAR, has brought to nowadays football.
Football is life. We say it for a reason, of course, and it really is true. You have good moments, you have bad moments, and we saw that, of course, with Asensio. We'll have to see if this declaration of love will be enough for him to stay at the club. Gemma, Rodri, get some rest. You guys killed it as always this weekend and all along this season. We know it's been a lot of work for you guys, and we always appreciate you bringing the best information here on LaLiga Insiders. Follow Gemma and Rodri on their social media and sign up now for ESPN Plus so you can enjoy all of LaLiga matches all season long. Guys, thank you.
Thank you. Adios, amigos.
Bye.